Hey guys. Alright, so the video down below is from Gillette, and I think you know which video it's going to be. It was that infamous commercial that was released earlier this year, raising the issue of perceived toxic masculinity, and specifically amongst white men. But I think that was obviously a very agenda-driven commercial. They were trying to put out a certain narrative. It's been heavily ratioed. I'm sure some people gave the video thumbs up in an ironic fashion just because, like, it's very meme-worthy. I've seen memes based on the commercial all across the interwebs and internets. So, funny stuff there. I think looking back at it in hindsight, we're just like, yeah, it's completely ridiculous. But I had somebody that I'm very fond of in terms of content creation. He put out a video in support, stating his support of, or voicing his support rather, of the Gillette commercial, saying, you know, I do support the Gillette commercial. And at the time I thought, well, honestly, I didn't say this, I was thinking this. I thought, honestly, you're really cucking here. Honestly, why are you saying this? It didn't make any sense. But looking back at the statement he made, I kind of have really began to see toxic masculinity in my own observable universe. Now, I perceive two types of toxic males: the self-proclaimed alpha males as well as the beta males. And they are both results of very bad homes, of either abuse or neglect. Let's start with the alpha males. I'm an alpha male, deal with it. Like, that's everything that defines my personality. If you show any sign of weakness, I'm going to accost you for, whatever. So these men generally come from homes where they have an abusive father or father-like figure. Now, it's unfortunate because this is how men get their behavior developed, is by observing those older than them, especially by the same gender. And we'll talk about that too. And they end up acting like their fathers. Their father ends up being an abusive man, an alcoholic, one that beats his wife, the kid's siblings, the kid himself. And then the kid growing up turns into a very toxic male and he doesn't have any other way of life to go by except for from his father. Now, with the beta males, I think that stems more from neglect in terms of there not being a father or a father-like figure. And they end up taking behavioral notes from their mothers or other females. And that turns them, let's face it, into pussies. And they let people stomp on them. They're not strong. They don't take charge. They don't have really any pride about anything. In fact, they kind of have pride in being kind of a beta male. It's pretty sad. And it's really sad because both these types of toxic males, they end up having children themselves and raising their children in the same fashion. Now, I want to go back to the beta males thing. They probably sometimes do have fathers that are pushovers or spineless, and they get their behavioral cues from them. So, I mean, there's so many different factors, but those are the two types of toxic males that I perceive. Now, it's up to each and every one of us men, if we have suffered abuse or neglect, it's up to us to stop that cycle. And God willing, we have a woman in our life that we can have offspring with. We raise our children to be the way we want them to, which are hopefully upstanding young men and women. And we break the cycle that way. That's the only way you can do it. Now, I want to also talk about something else too. Weakness versus meekness, or the act of being meek. In my workplace, I often have to do things for customers that are rude, as well as coworkers that are rude. And I have to swallow my pride and say, look, I know that I'm a strong man. I know that I have a big heart. All that jazz. I am going to essentially be stoned in this moment, figuratively speaking, with being thrown, rather having stones thrown at you. I'm going to take the stoning and do what is right. As cliched as it sounds, that's probably what Jesus would want us to do. And I think that in that regard, you are being strong. You're essentially saying, I know I'm strong, but I'm going to put myself in a position where I am somebody else's servant. Not because that's my job, but because that's the right thing to do. So being weak would probably be, well, I'm not really happy with my job. I don't like people walking all over me. So I'm just going to quit. I'm just going to quit because that's what I think is the right thing to do. I'm a strong man. I don't have to take this shit. I can go somewhere else. In my opinion, that's being weak. That's basically admitting that you can't swallow your pride and do right by your work. Now, this is a reshoot from last night. I got to go here. I'm on my way to work, but I had to reshoot this video. I shot last night's video without my quick programming note here, without my headphones on, so the microphone wasn't plugged in. I had to speak into the phone, and I think that the microphone on my headphones is much better than it is on my phone, so if anybody could make note of that, that'd be awesome. But yeah, it's very important to understand that if you become weak, you become a toxic male. And that's really the way I perceive it. So hopefully you guys, have your own opinions about that. And you guys can let me know what you think. Because it would be it's very important to me to hear what my fellow man thinks about this. And, I'm open to any comments. If you want to call me a cuck for saying, yes, there is such things as toxic masculinity, well, get ready for my video tonight where I talk about how, yes, there is white supremacy, and I think you guys are going to be kind of shocked by what I have to say. It's pretty awful, but it's something that needs to be said. So any comments are welcome. Free speech for the win. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. God bless. I'll see you later.